This is the gas diffuser. 2% thoriated is everybody's go-to. The ceramic and Pyrex TIG cups. Higher heat, and I can run faster. Well, makes a prettier weld in my opinion. I know everybody's pretty familiar with TIG welding as far as what they see on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot with walking the cup and all that stuff. And I think I wanted to transition into TIG welding a little bit. So in the last video I put up about how you can make any stick welder a TIG welder. And the idea of that is to get people started into it. It's a very inexpensive option. I have here Yes Welder TIG 200P that I'm going to use today. It's a high frequency start. We'll do AC and DC TIG. The button on the torch for a trigger. You can also use a foot pedal for this that is compatible that Yes Welder sells if you prefer to use that. These are about $549. You can get them yeswelder.com. You can use my discount code StickBamFab23 and get 10% off anything that I go over today. So that's the machine. Now you also have something that does a lift start. This is a high frequency start which has the button. You can get something that has a lift start. My 211P does a lift start. And then, like I said, you can also do a scratch start with a stick welder, as I explained in the previous video. And you open it up. Any TIG machine you get, or any torch that you typically get, or any TIG machine you get, will come with all these parts here. This is the gas diffuser. This is the most basic thing that comes with a TIG torch, and it works just fine. Along that you have the collet. This hangs onto the tungsten. And then you also have your gas cup. You usually get sizes from 5 to 8 in your kit. You know, different size depends on how thick a metal you're using, how big your heat affected zone is, how much gas coverage you need, and so on, which we can go over in another video. Now, typically machines come with a tungsten just to get you started. It's usually 2% thoriated, which is the red tungsten, but there's all different types that you can get. You can also get 1.5% lanthanated, 2% seriated, and 2% lanthanated, along with a rare earth one that's purple, and then a pure tungsten, which is green. Pure tungsten's only really good for aluminum. I find that the 2% lanthanated is pretty good for mild steels. 2% seriated is really good for stainless. 1.5% lanthanated is good for just about everything. And then 2% thoriated is everybody's go-to. This is the one that everybody uses for a little bit of everything. Personally, I prefer 1.5% lanthanated on most steels, but there are times where 2% thoriated is better, such as thicker metals. The yellow tungsten, in my opinion, is not the best for the thicker metals. This is good for thin sheet metal stuff. And the other thing you need is a filler metal of some sort. Now I'm just going to focus on carbon steel for now. This is an example of a tube of TIG filler metal that you can get. It is ER70S6. That filler metal is 332. Your tungsten sizes matter, your filler metal sizes matter. I'm not going to really get into that right now. I'll get into it a little later. I would recommend, especially if you're going to get a Yes Welder TIG torch or a dedicated TIG machine, I would also recommend getting something like this. This is a consumables kit for a TIG welder. It's got all the collets that you need. It's got gas lenses in here versus just the standard gas diffusers. These are much better for dispersing your shielding gas. And it also has the ceramic and Pyrex TIG cups. And I think this kit's like $30 or $40 on Yes Welder site, and then you use my code and it's a little less. Yes Welder also came out with these TIG gloves. These are actually really nice gloves. When you're TIG welding, the metal you are welding has to be clean, super clean. So this here won't cut it. I am going to take my flap disc, clean off a bare spot, and get all this scale off. I wanted to give a shout out to Benchmark Abrasives for supplying me with a bunch of sanding discs. That's been very helpful. When you clean it off, that'll be about what it looks like. That should be pretty decent for it to weld on. So, I've got a 332 2% thoriated in the TIG torch here. I'm going to use my 70S6. Now, one thing I didn't mention, I forgot about, is gas. Typically, for TIG welding, your inert gas that you're going to use is 100% argon. There are instances where, actually there's a lot of instances where people use helium or a helium-argon mix to weld stuff such as stainless steel, and I think they even use it on titanium. Typically 100% argon will do pretty much everything you need. Steel, stainless steel, aluminum, pretty inexpensive considering. With a high frequency start, all I have to do is once I'm ready, click the button to turn it on, and I can do my little bloop, 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 bloop. Now, since I have the capability to do so, I wanted to use this opportunity just to compare what it looks like in the difference between a regular TIG weld without the pulse and a TIG weld with the pulse. This one is without the pulse. And this one is with the pulse, properly set up to my liking. There we are. Relatively same size and consistency. However, I can run higher heat and I can run faster. And I have better total heat control of how much energy goes into the workpiece, which is really beneficial on thinner stuff. When you have a TIG machine that is capable of a pulse, the benefits to it are that you can run a higher amperage. You can also control your total heat input into the material, which also helps you to prevent burn through. Another thing is that you can kind of time your steps and your dabs. It definitely helps with that to keep you more consistent. And well, makes a prettier weld in my opinion. Those are kind of the basics to TIG welding with pulse capabilities, just like this TIG 200P has. If you guys want me to dive deeper into this and explain it a little further and show you some more examples, let me know, leave a comment. I'm going to dive and get more into the TIG stuff. And as you can see from my bench, I've got a whole bunch of projects going on right now. So, thanks for watching. Sorry this is so scatterbrained. I'll try and plan the next one a little better than this one. This one was almost off the cuff. And well, I'll see you later.